Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it is just me, probably for today at least, because Neon right now sounds like if a frog gargled with glass, and he does not sound good and he does not feel well. So it's just me for this video. So today we're going to talk about influencers and Hollywood. So, media. The media is kind of losing their shit right now, because they're basically finding out that Hollywood's going to chase the influencers. And I think this is especially funny given, we had the strikes last year with the writer's strike, and they were saying, well, if some of you guys could qualify to be part of our guild and all this other stuff. And we were saying then, yeah, but they want you there because Hollywood's using them more and more and they want their cut. Well, media is finding out that maybe they're not as influential as they think they are, and I find it vastly entertaining. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I will give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So this is from the Rap Pro, and it says, who needs critics when you have influencers? And they're talking about studios are using social media influencers to create buzz for their films, and critics aren't happy about it. Now, Disney has done this for a while. We've seen this a lot. They have different people come in that have different social media presences, or they have a website or whatever. And that's how you get to be on the media list. Trust me, I know, because we've done it before. And I know back then there were people who were on there talking about how do you get to be on the media list. And they were like tiny blogs that got to be on it, but they were ridiculously over the top, sappy, kissing Disney's ass type blogs. They're going to bring whoever they think can bring them the most views, but with the best response. So like you can be a really, really big, YouTuber or someone with a social TikToker or, Instagram person. But unless Disney knows that you're going to report the way they want, they're not going to bring you in. Sorry. There's a lot of people who got to be too negative in quotes and then got off the list. I wouldn't know what that's like at all, would I? No. We got off there because we were too negative, because how dare we actually point out things like, oh my God, it's too hot at, the new Toy Story Land. Oh, that's a sin, don't you know? And you're kicked off the list for stuff like that. So they're having a meltdown because critics and things are upset because instead of them coming in to review a movie, in this instance, it was for a movie, they're bringing social media influencers in. And critics for the longest time were given, free access a lot of times, early screenings. Sometimes they were, given more than that, but, cupcake party type stuff. But they get their little baskets and things. But now they're going to not even bring them in because they want people who actually are listened to, but that's what's funny to me. They're going to bring social media influencers in because people actually listen to them. And the media can't take it. They just cannot handle that. The fact that social media influencers have more power than they do. And it's gloriously epic that the meltdowns they are having. So here's what's going on with this. So when they did the screening for Alien Romulus in California, they had where the seats rumble and squirt at this 4DX theater for guests. Okay. They had press from around the world, went to Anaheim and for D23. Okay. While they were at D23, Disney brought the social media influencers over to the theater to get a look at Alien Romulus. So it's really smart. I mean, I'm going to give them to them for that. It was smart. Send the press to D23 where all the announcements are, so they won't get pissy and mad. Send the press over to D23. That's where everybody was headed anyway. A lot of the bloggers were headed there and stuff. That's where you're going to give your immediate access to. And then they'll go cover all your big announcements. They'll go cover Hall H and all the, Marvel stuff and all that crap and get all the big press for that. Meanwhile, you want to go grassroots for your film. So you bring the influencers in and you give them a free screening of the movie at the same time so that the media isn't going to bitch too much because they're over there. So that's what they did. And they said there were GoPro cameras were attached to the backs of the theater chairs to capture the reactions. And they're talking about, the different things that happen in the movie. And they said just what important happened inside the theater was happening when the screen was being done. An embargo was lifted on the first reactions to the film, and which could now be issued not for just actual press and critics, but for the influencers who attended the screening. Now, there are embargoes. Not just for this kind of stuff. There are embargoes for Disney announcements, guys. I can tell you for a fact that when we were doing the Disney media, you might get to go in and you might get to try some of this stuff early, like these foods and stuff, or get pictures. A lot of times it's just taking pictures. You didn't even get to try them. But you weren't allowed to post the damn things until a certain date. because they had to have their Disney Parks blog get posted first. I'm like, if you're going to post the Disney Parks blog first, then why bother bringing the influencers in? But that's what they would do. Same thing. They were there. They were getting their reactions. They were allowed to talk about it, but not until the embargo was up. So they said footage quickly flooded TikTok, especially of the guy who was faking getting eaten from the inside out by a deadly space parasite. Because they were talking about the guy, it was one guy, I guess it was wandered into the screening, complaining of chest pains, and then a rubber alien popped out of his chest. And they were putting that footage up. So this is all staged. The whole thing was staged. And they said that the reactions on X were great. They loved it. Every rumbling, water squirting minute of it. And then they said that they're different people. Juju Green, Straw Hat Goofy, 3.5 million was quoted in a sizzle reel produced by Disney. You know, there's just a bunch of different people. They used it. They take this. They do this all the time. If you're doing stuff on Instagram and that, well, they have the right to use it in their promotional stuff. And that's what they did. So the media is not happy because they're saying that a lot of these reviewers are upset that studios are trying to do these, manufacture viral content is what's going on. So they said they not only invite writers for fan sites to interview cast and crew as journalists, in quotes. That's how pissed off they are. They're journalists. Except some people who have blogs or do YouTube, for example, actually do have a journalism background. And maybe perhaps one of the hosts used to work as an editor on a couple different publications because they actually were a journalist. But, I digress. They had to solicit blurbs from friendly critics to use advertising. That's just it. They don't want a critic who's going to be like, oh, it's not highbrow enough for me. They want the plebs there, the ones that are going to speak for the audience. And you know how mad they're getting about that? When the meltdowns from the media, when they said, hey guys, we might go get super fans to, be on a committee to look at this stuff to make sure that it's going to go over well with people so we make money. And the media is mad because we're the tastemakers. How fucking dare you do that? You have to listen to us. So they're just talking about how everybody's mad about it. And they said it's just the latest blow to the dignity of film criticism. The thoughtful discourse around movies now largely reduced to whether or not something is deemed fresh or rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It makes sense the studios would look to social media to get their butts in the seats. No, here's the thing, Rap. The thoughtful discourse, it's not reduced to that. The thoughtful discourse is this. If someone loves it, it's real. If someone doesn't like it, it's because they're a bigot. That's your thoughtful discourse. And that's coming directly from the media and the film critics themselves. You have to love it or you're a bigot. And that is the problem. And studios are starting to realize that, oh my God, the vocal minority, according to you people, can't be that vocal because it seems to be reflective of the audience for these projects. So maybe, hot damn, maybe they're figuring out that the silent majority is usually represented by the vocal minority. And people will come to movies if it's good. And we've been listening to the actual silent majority or minority for a while now and putting all this shit in it and changing it and taking it really far into agenda territory for no damn good reason. And it didn't work. It's like we were right. It's like we were right. The people you were listening to were right. It's not out of disrespect to critics, a veteran marketing executive said, which is funny because my husband's actually from a marketing background as well. Influencers are just another word for fans. Fans with an audience. And if you don't give the fans ownership and let them own a point of view first, it's hard to manage your brand. We're bringing the influencers in people listen to. We're controlling the environment to get a reaction out of them, which we are then going to, that we want, which we are then going to use to leverage to get people to come, that people actually listen to those people and not the media. That's basically what's going on. Fans' ownership of their point of view that we control is basically what they're saying. They're really the gatekeepers. What? Wait. Oh, hot damn. The gatekeepers are actually the fans and not the media. Are you kidding? little Becky over there got a warm seat over at, the Mary Sue or such and such blog and is sitting there with her personal hot takes and agenda as, news, quote unquote, and the reality, quote unquote. Is it right? No, you don't say. I never would have guessed. You want to give them a chance to own and advocate something before it goes to critics. I can't with this. I can't. This is just beautiful. It's just like Disney does it. A lot of other studios do it too. They're talking about Lionsgate did it. Not that anything could have saved Borderlands. That thing was not, and The Crow didn't do that great either. But they're just like completely like, I can't believe that they're not going to the media first. This is a terrible thing for criticism and film culture. It's dumb, short-term thinking, but Hollywood is a dumb, short-term place. New York Magazine film critic. Yeah, I'm sure they don't like this at all because they're not getting their asses kissed. God, this is funny. It goes on and on and on. But this is another point I want to point out. A lot of these trusted media outlets with the film critics that go to see this stuff, they don't have the clout they try to pretend they do. Like, there was a big push a few years ago, back when I was doing the other blog for Disney, on social media that, the more people you had on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, the more influential you are, the better you were. So a lot of people were faking their numbers. I can't say all who was, but I was tracking it. When I talked before about bot issues and stuff, that's what I was talking about because I used to track that stuff back then. So it's not really a new thing. Anyway, so these outlets would all of a sudden have all these followers, but then when you go to look at their engagement, like Rolling Stone is a good example. We have all these followers, but no one's engaged. And this is before Elon Musk bought Twitter, so they can't say, oh, it's because everybody that they would, that normally be their audience left. No, they're still there. This isn't that. It was before Twitter. But Variety yesterday, for example, had this article up on X. From tariffs to taxes to tyranny, Hollywood braces for the possibility of Donald Trump victory. God, that's so ridiculous. But yesterday when I took a picture, this is over 24 hours ago, there were 7 likes. Okay. And there was comments, but almost all the comments were like telling them they were full of shit. And there wasn't as many quotes and retweets either. But you're talking about Variety who claims to have 3 million followers. They claim to have 3 million followers. And you look at their stuff and there's just no interaction. But if you go out to somebody else who's an actual influencer who actually has followers, there's a ton of interaction. So it just makes sense that Hollywood is going to go find people who actually have an audience and haven't faked their damn audience. That's what they're going to do. Plus, there's always, back to the Rotten Tomatoes thing, often there's a great divide between the critical score and the audience score. And a lot of times, if it's some ridiculous, agenda-driven bullshit, it has a really high audience or critical score, but the audience doesn't care and the audience score is low and they didn't show up. But there's times the critics are like, this movie sucks, and the audience scores through the roof, and then you're like, oh, okay, then it's probably good because the audience thinks so. A lot of people don't even look at the critical scores anymore. They just go by the audience. And are there concerted efforts sometimes to artificially inflate or deflate a Rotten Tomatoes score? Yes. But at the end of the day, the critics, if they hate it, sometimes it does really, really well in the theaters. And the studios are looking at that and they're like, what does the audience think? I don't care what the critics think. I don't care what these people in these seats at these journalism outlets and news outlets think. What are the potential audience going to think? Because that's where the money is. It's just flipping common sense. I don't understand why it took them this long. So anyway, there it is. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.